Welcome in everybody. You are definitely in the right place. This is about to be a spirited show, very spirited, because what the unofficial depth chart came out today, and you know something. And thank you guys for being here in the chat, man. All the no maniacs love you guys, like fat kid low key. But yes, I mean you got people around the Twitter space telling other people that this unofficial depth chart means nothing. Move on. Don't make any big deal about it. I beg to differ with that, and I'll tell you why. You know who it makes a difference to? Those dudes in the locker room. You know who sees that depth chart first? Those dudes in the locker room. You know who has pride, who has ego, and who are probably damn cocky? Those dudes in the locker room. You think they want to be third, fourth, fifth on a depth chart? No, they don't want to see their names there. That's their reputations on the line. So you're talking about guys sitting in second, third, fourth place, fifth place on a roster, and the guys sitting up at top, the ones that made the higher echelon, they're sitting pretty. Those other guys, they have to sharpen their utensils. They got to get ready, man. There's something that they're not doing, or something is they're being asked to do, they're not delivering on the field, so they find themselves lower on the depth chart. And so don't I'm not poo-pooing anybody that says that. I just beg to differ with me being a person from I've been on many depth charts, man, and I'm telling you, I tell you right now, in high school and in college, if I wasn't number one corner at both spots, nickel and left corner, the island corner, there was going to be problems. If I wasn't the number one receiver on that depth chart, there was going to be a problem. If I wasn't the number one kick return, punt return, there was going to be a problem. I remember my freshman year in college. One of the first things I told my position coach, hey, if I ain't the number one slot, and if I ain't the number one left corner, it's going to be some smoke. And he looked at me and cracked a grin, and he said, that's exactly why we brought you here, because we know you want to dominate. And so you have to have, I was cocky, and you have to have that mindset and that edge to you in order to rise to the top of a heap like that. And so don't that's BS, people telling you this depth chart doesn't matter. It matters to those dudes in those locker rooms, man. So, before we get going with my super duper co-hosts, let's hit this breaking news, because we did have some news coming into the show.
Yeah, definitely.
From the Nomad Network News Channel, we have breaking Chicago Bears news.
Okay, so we had most of this news. I'm gonna say that we most people have heard this already, but we signed Barrington Wade, 6'1", 6'2", about 232. As you can see, he's from Iowa, but he played on a couple of teams so far, and from all accounts, he sounds really good. I really haven't had a chance to really study him on tape yet. I just haven't had the time, but I will. But by all accounts, he sounds like a solid linebacker. Ask me if he'll make the team. I won't really have an answer for you, but we also worked out three other guys. A guy by the name of Tyreek Maddox Williams, another guy by the name of Tanner Vallejo, and another guy by the name of Trey Walker. At any given moment, any one of the linebackers that we have now could be cut because they like the linebacker that they just worked out. So I had to mention those names so that you guys can have those names on your radar. One more time, one of them is Tyreek Maddox Williams, Tanner Vallejo, and Trey Walker. Those are the guys we signed. Now, we ended up, we waived Jake Tongas, tight end, that we've had for a couple of years. Apparently, a couple of years in the system, they've seen pretty much what they have in him, and they moved on. Also, the kicker, there was a kicker competition going on out there. Andre Smith, I believe is his name. He was waived also. Mm-hmm. So that being said, guys, anything on your mind that caught your eye today? Let's not get into players just yet. Just overall summer.
I'll start off. The depth chart. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's go. We'll go down and then around to kids, and then Samo play clean up. As far as the breaking news, before we even get into the depth chart, reaction breaking news wise, The linebacker, okay, that seems to be a crowded room, but who knows who's on the way out. Tongus, sorry to see the kid go because I liked his versatility with fullback and tight end, but he's the second young guy to go out with the injury settlement. So it's like, damn, what's going on down there? And Smits, I understand that during Family Fest that Cairo Santos was automatic with all of his kicks in the wet conditions out there, whereas Smits, he doinked on the right upright. And then, like the next day he's released. Is that flashback things? Does Poles need the exorcism? I don't know. But it just strikes me as a little early in camp to get rid of the extra leg, because you still got a long way to go. And now if Santos is the only kicker there, that just seems to stress that position a little bit more. But who knows that they might bring in.
All right. They could always bring in good old Robbie Gould. Good as gold, baby. I don't care whether they do or whether they don't. I will say this, though. That man can definitely kick in Chicago weather. I'll give him that much. Personally, I still think we should keep Santos, and we should probably keep the young man Smits. Train him up, get him ready to take over the reins. Because personally, I don't really trust. I don't really trust Cairo Santos. And like silly story, a friend of mine's parents live right where he lives in Florida. So he lives in Florida off of a golf resort. They also live off a golf resort. They go golfing all the time. My buddy's good friends with him and his wife, and yet sent me a picture just, real quick. It's like, boom, look who I'm kicking it with today. I'm hanging out with Cairo Santos. And I was like, man, I don't know about that, too. And he was like, seriously, what do you mean? Cairo Santos is automatic. I was like, not for them. Those point afters are a little bit rough. And when he's giving one of these, I don't know. So I'm going to leave Cairo Santos alone and kick it alone. But all I know is for Tuesday, it's been a pretty busy day. All kinds of signings, all kinds of positive notes coming out of camp. And I don't want to ruin the show with my little intro, so I'm going to toss it up to Sam.
Yo, first up, shout out to all the guys in the chat and girls. If you are any of there today, you guys been rocking with us. Day 11 of camp, dog days is who was that? Cole Komet said today. Man, a lot to talk about today with that unofficial depth chart coming out. Like No Man said, it doesn't matter for the guys if your name is at the top, but it definitely matters if your name is at the bottom. So I think we'll get into that. And as far as this new linebacker we have, interested in letting that guy compete. I heard he's been a dog on special teams, so maybe we needed some more dogs on special teams, and maybe that's where he'll make his name for himself and then let that carry over into the defense.
So, you know what? Before we get all the way into this depth chart, and we're going to get into it, when I tell you we're going to get into it, we're going to have some conversation about that. But before I get into it, I'm going to try to breeze through these notes. Some of these notes that stuck out to me. First, let me go through the list of guys that Nate Davis did practice today. So there you go.
He did.
Mark Kazak, there you go. He was practicing.
Yes, he was.
Not practicing. I don't want to alarm anybody because there's all kinds of different reasons why guys don't practice. But I'll run through the list anyway. Brisker did not practice. Roshan, Terrell Smith, Tremaine Edmonds, Lucas Patrick, Dylan Cole, Dante Pettis, DeMarcus Walker, Eddie Jackson, and Kyler Gordon. Who is practicing is Jack Sanborn. He's back on the field. However, that being said, Justin sounds like he looked pretty good today. Sound pretty crispy and clean. There's a lot of drops out there today from what I heard, but Justin looked pretty on point today again. You know what? I'm going to tell him about this Jalen Johnson on Tyreek Stevenson. You want to play that video, Sam? Before I just start talking about it, you just see it for yourself. He's just taking this rook to school, man.
Here you go.
DJ! Oh!
All right.
The separation.
He had her swimming.
One more time.
DJ!
Oh,
He said, "Oh, you going that way now?"
So that was DJ Moore on who?
That was Tyreek.
That was Tariq Stevens playing on DJ Moore.
Yeah.
He hit him with the heavy. He hit him with the heavy.
Him up.
Made him look like a rook, man. You know what I mean? Just the crispness of how he came out of that break and turned on a dime like that. That one more time. Just watch how he wheels on that on a dime and just basically just left my man struggling.
DJ!
Oh! On a dime and continue to get separation off the stem. Continue
old shit.
separation.
And a nice
Using
toss.
that old shit.
Nice toss by the QB.
Right on the money.
Easy
Right
throw. That was easy, right? He just, he made it easy.
This is it, guys. Right? Like if you're getting separation, ain't nobody getting no separation last year. And the few times Darnell did, he's in double coverage. So once more, we might have ourselves an offense. All we need to know about now really is what that running back room looks like.
I mean, hey, listen, man. That was beautiful to watch, man. That's what you call savvy. And that's another part of that is lack of seasoning. That's just Tyreek just needs to get reps, man. He's gonna look a whole lot better as the season goes on, but you can expect a lot of that, early in the season for him. He's gonna, like I said, man, I keep saying it all the time. Rookies got to take their L's. Every rookie does, man, and all rookies aren't the same, but that specific job right there is the hardest job on the field. They say besides quarterback, but it's the most athletically challenging job on the field is playing cornerback or nickel cornerback. Either cornerback spot is the most athletically challenging spot on the field. I don't care what anybody says. I'm not being biased because I'm a cornerback. I'm just telling you, it takes every little ounce of your athleticism you will use playing nickel or boundary corner. So he's just got to learn, man, and I know he's going to get better moving on. But that being said, the whole entire line was present and practicing today. What do you guys think about that?
The which line, offense or defense?
The entire starting offensive line.
Well, that's good to hear. It's nice to see Davis back out there and everybody in their positions. It's nice to see that Braxton Jones held up against that bull rush and was able to anchor against the big bowling ball veteran of Billings. So, that shows progress in his offseason squatting abilities. I'm happy to hear that. I'm just happy that everyone is there. I understand that there are off days or rest days or what have you, but just being out there just, makes me happy. And just as far as the injuries go, those are one thing, but what's going on with Pettis? I mean, he's had the weekend and he's still not out there and he's not injured. So, that's just a concern as far as not injured, but not playing.
Well,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, I had zero expectation today that the entire offensive line would be together and practicing. And that's my immediate takeaway from that. I had zero expectation of that. Didn't expect it. Didn't expect Nate Davis at all. I expected him walking up and down the sidelines. A real upside here is he got on the field and he got to practice, and maybe we can start to build up that cohesion that we were talking about. Maybe he happened to watch Nomad Network, Nomad Live the last couple of days. Maybe, I don't know, but at least we got him. You know what I'm saying? At least we got him and the rest of the team on the line working it out. We have an idea as to what we might be looking at by way of depth. Now we can hope those starters can get some cohesion.
Yeah, it's like everything we talked about last night, man. We got answers for today. We talked about that offensive line, coming together and when was it going to happen? And boom, everybody's practicing today. Although it's non-padded practice, it's good to see everybody out there, like you said, and they can build that cohesion. It's good to see our boy Braxton, taking those bull rushes from other players, which I feel like the coaches set up for him. Having Billings on Braxton Jones, that had to be either some type of stunt or, they really wanted to get him some work on that bull rush, which we talked about last night as well against different types of players. And it sounds like he held his own. So Nomad, we're going to see, if he can get some consistency there. What else was there? As far as the injuries go, having Sanborn come back. We talked about our boy. What's the rookie name? I'm drawing a blank right now.
Sewell.
Sewell, dominating in that position right now with the starters. And what happens? Sanborn comes out of that training room like, I'm not going to lose my job like that. I'm going to lose it on the field. So happy to see that he's back. And, man, it's just all starting to come together, man, as far as all the new injuries and all the secondary being out. I think it's just, those guys have been going strong for a long time. So you give them a day off and let those legs get rested up, man. And I'm not worried about any of those guys.
Well, just before I close the book on the notes on the offensive line, I will say this. By all accounts, by everything I've heard, the highlights I've seen, I think I can say this definitively, and I think this is going to be welcome news to all the Bears fans. I think a lot of people had high hopes for this guy, man. I certainly did since we got him. I just think he has the elite traits. I think he was just spinning last year because he was a rookie. But the arrow is pointing up for sure on Ja'Tyre Carter. He sounds like he's looking really good out there. He was getting Nate Davis's reps. Now the question about that is if Lucas Patrick hadn't got injured, would he have gotten those reps? I don't know. I think they are glad they're getting him with him, and I think the sign. I mean, I definitely feel like the arrow is pointing up for him. So we can talk about him when we get into the depth chart. But on the good side of Tyreek Stevenson, he did get a nice pick off Justin today. I saw the video, didn't have time to get it, but he got a nice pick off Justin. It was probably a late thrown ball, probably a little underthrown, but it was a nice play on his behalf. The defense, man, listen, this is something that really stuck out to me. And this was on a second team. It was Aviante Collins playing right tackle, I believe. Dominique Robinson and Terrell Lewis went back-to-back reps against this guy. And listening to Braggs, man, Braggs is out there watching. Shout out to Braggs. He is guaranteeing Terrell Lewis is going to make this team, and I'm starting to feel the same damn way.
Well, definitely. Are we looking at the depth chart wise on Terrell?
Not yet. Let me go through some more notes.
Okay, go ahead.
We'll get into that. One more thing before we do that. You mentioned the bull rush. That was notable in my notes too. Billings bull rush Braxton in 11 on 11s, and he was able to hold up. That's per Brendan Sugar. I don't know if he's a reporter. I just wanted to give him a shout out. I don't know what he is. Velus is looking really good out there. Really, really good out there. So everything I'm hearing about Velus, once again, is coming up roses. Nice got a nice pass from down the sidelines from PJ Walker. Again, Justin is looking sharp. Here's another note that really stuck out to me. Travis Bell is looking good and standing out and turning some heads out there. So we haven't gotten to talk about him a whole lot, and we will in just a second. But I want to make note of that. Also, man, the Polynesian power, man, Noah Sewell. Polynesian power, man, that dude is out of all the players that I seen notes on in the past couple of practices, whether it be the practice before Family Fest itself, and this practice, Noah Sewell is definitely trending up. He is turning heads out there. And I said this on Twitter, and I said it yesterday on the show. If you haven't gotten a Noah Sewell jersey, and you better get that damn thing now. Because I'm telling you, this dude he's nice looking out there, apparently, man. But with that being said, man, let's do what we all came here to do. Let's get this depth chart. Let's dig into this this is some seriously eye-opening stuff here. Let's start with the special teams, man. What about this special teams lineup makes you feel good or bad, Mr. Triple R?
All right. And for our audio audience that may be listening on iHeartRadio or Spotify or any other place that the podcast is available for the Nomad Network, Nomad Live, and Nomad at Night, featuring MF in the Kitchen. We got the punter, Trenton Gill. No competition there, no depth chart. He seems to be solid. Kickers, Cairo Santos. Smits is gone, so no other competition thus far. Long snapper, Patrick Scales. What is H?
H is Holder.
All right, Holder, Trenton Gill. So he's doing double duty, okay. Kick returner, Valus Jones Jr. And it seems as though Mr. Coach Hightower had good positive words about Valus and his returning ability. And then as far as second kick returner depth, we have Khalil Herbert, followed by Tristan Ebner, Tyler Scott, and then finally Aaron Cruikshank. And for punt returner, Valus is leading this preliminary depth chart here, followed by Dante Pettis, DJ Moore, Eddie Jackson, and Tyler Scott. Kids?
Yeah, so those are the guys. I know there was a couple of questions about Velus Jones as to whether he was punter and kick returner. Kind of looks that way. Right off the bat, there's one name that I'm not seeing anywhere here, and that name is Travis Homer.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't. Travis Homer is more of a special teams cover guy.
Gunner, yeah, he's not a returner.
Yeah.
Kind of expected him to have a bit more of a special teams presence to solidify his position, because if these guys are ready to go, that gives the homie Tristan Ebner a bit of a better look, at least in my opinion. We might be seeing the opposite of what I said last night. It might look like Tristan Ebner is going to stay, and potentially Mr. Homer may be the odd man out.
No, I think you're misunderstanding, kids. Homer is not a returner. These are returners. Homer is a guy that's going to run down this field with his 4.3 speed and hit somebody. He's going to be the guy up front of these guys blocking for him. So he wouldn't be on this chart right here.
I know he wouldn't necessarily be on this chart, but my expectation was that he would be as an actual returner of some kind, which would.
I mean, because he's a running back, and I think Kez just froze up. Because he's a running back, I think is where Kez
bring a little bit more special. My back?
Yeah, you're
back.
I'm back. Must be the kids coming back from school. No, school is out for the summer. Call it what you will. Anyhow, well, we'll see. It does make me think a little bit more about Travis Homer's position here.
Well, go ahead, Samuel.
Not many surprises on here to me, man. I mean, we expected Trent Gill to be our punter. I'm surprised that the competition for kicker is over already, and Cairo Santos is that dude. But I'm not surprised. I'm just surprised that they didn't keep a guy around. Let's see, Valus having both the number one kick returner and punt returner spot. That's expected, and I think that's what's best for the team. We're hoping that he's successful in that role. But the one thing that did stand out to me was the backups to Valus in punt return, being Dante Pettis. Pettis hasn't played a down, and he's still the number 2 on this depth chart, which means to me no other guy stepped up and claimed that position, and that Dante Pettis still has an opportunity to make this team, even though he hasn't practiced anytime during this training camp. So that's the one thing that I think stands out to me the most about the special teams depth chart here.
I'll tell you 2-3 things here that's going on. Number one, Valus has earned it. Number one, apparently, and Hightower said as much when he went to the podium. He's earned it. The bad news is for Aaron Cruikshank. Aaron Cruikshank should be higher on this depth chart if he was making a presence in camp. So he should be, in all reality, especially on punt return, he should be ahead of DJ and Eddie, because DJ and Eddie are in that spot. If you get into an injury pinch and you need a couple sure-handed guys that can get you out of a game, you have DJ, you have Eddie. Tyler Scott should also be in front of those guys on that. So Tyler Scott, it tells me both of these guys are having ball security problems. That's what this tells me indirectly. That's what this says to me.
It's possible, but it's a preliminary chart because I don't want to see Eddie Jackson out there returning kicks or punts. I don't want to see DJ Moore out there. I understand the sure-handedness, but being that he's going to be a number one type receiver, I don't want him on punt returns.
I just say like this, man, that it sometimes depth charts can, if you know what to discern about them, like I know immediately when I seen Aaron Cruikshank and Tyler Scott at the very end of the kick return echelon or at the bottom of that echelon, they're having ball security problems. Not tracking the ball right, they're bobbling, the coaches aren't feeling secure about those guys at kickoff or punt return. They're showing a whole lot of promise putting Bayless as number one. So it's his job to lose. So right now, Bayless sounds like he's looking good doing those two jobs. So that's what sticks out to me. So let's just move on to the offense, man, because this is about to get interesting right here.
Yes,
really,
sir.
A lot going on right here. So what you would say is let's just start at the top. Let's just start at the top. What's interesting here is DJ Moore is probably, you would consider him your Z receiver. Some might consider him your X. It really doesn't matter. But he's your number one receiver at his spot. Velus Jones is right behind him. I'll say that again. Velus Jones is right behind him, followed by Dante Pettis, followed by Isaiah Ford. Let's just start with that line right there.
All right, DJ Moore, let's call that a lock at starting. The weapon VJJ or V12 to be determined behind him. All right, we'll see why that works. Dante Pettis, when he's here, we know he can have the athletic ability and get open, the hands. Isaiah Ford, to be determined. If Ford is out there putting their reps and Pettis isn't here, that's going to get him up. So it is interesting that Velus is, that high in that position.
Go ahead, kids.
Man, I don't know what he's doing over there, but all I can say is we're looking at they've kind of split it up. There's a second listing, as in wide receiver 2, where you've got your Darnell Mooney, Equinemius St. Brown, Tyler Scott, and regardless of everything.
Hold on. We're doing a top line.
I know we are. I'm just saying that the guys following here, and even the guys following in the second line, there's no Chase Claypool, which I find a little bit odd. I find it odd that Isaiah Ford is where he is. I find it odd that EQ and Pettis are where they are. I find it odd that I don't see Claypool on either one of those lines.
Wait, Clay, he's on the bottom line, right? Look at the bottom.
Yeah, you read it. It
Am I
goes
missing him?
horizontal.
Well,
Yeah, it goes horizontal.
You see, I don't know how they do it in Canada, but when we go line by line, we go line by line. And if we're gonna jump ahead, we read all the lines.
Go to
we know
roll.
what we're talking about. So now, Mr.
I might be just blind though. I might be just blind. I still don't see no Claypool.
At the very bottom.
We'll get there. We're
gonna see. You're gonna see him in a minute.
Oh, my bad. So the third line. Okay, all right.
We'll get there.
So that makes much more sense to me now. That makes much more sense to me now.
First line.
All right.
So that first column is supposed to be the starters.
Right.
Okay, so
First
now
column. It's
that I've
column by column, but we're only going to focus on the first row right now. So
thank you. Now that I know how to actually read this thing, it surprises me much less that Velus Jones is behind DJ Moore, because we're talking about a guy of similar size, if not bigger, and similar speed. If he's got to take on that number one role and keep the other guys in 2 and 3, I don't mind it. It also says quite a bit about the guy, to be honest with you. I'm really just hoping we don't have to see the guys behind him.
Right. So for me, This says if this depth chart is accurate in that first row, it says that the coaches are happy with what Velus has been doing in training camp. They're happy the way he came into training camp, and they're happy with, his progression throughout training camp, and that, they're acknowledging that, he is doing well in training camp. That's what this first line to me says. As far as, Dante Pettis still being in this role, I fully expect that, because I think Dante Pettis has a lot to offer as a wide receiver. Isaiah Ford is probably not going to make this team, but he has to be placed on this depth chart. But the standout for me is that Velus is number 2 on either, and I would have thought this whether he was number 2 at either of the wide receiver spots. But him being number 2 just says to me that they're happy with his the way that he's been playing in training camp and the way that he's been coming along.
Well, I'll just say this to close this out. Isaiah Ford is the odd man looking out. I mean, odd man out probably in this situation. But it says more about Velus and his improvement in camp than it says anything about anything else in this. Dante Pettis, I believe, is probably going to find a way onto this roster, man. I think Dante Pettis is very valuable, very underrated, man. And I think because he hasn't been in camp, you're going to have a bunch of questions. And Paul Clark just said something's too early for a depth chart, too much training camp left to see, in my opinion. Paul Clark, yes. But here's the thing, Paul. It means something to those guys. It means something to see their names ranked up where. I mean, it means a lot to those guys. It's just us here speculating how it got to this point, why it ended up shaping out this way, and so that we have something to speculate about. And that's all this is. It's really just speculation. But I bend onto the side that this means more for the players than it means to anybody else. And I say that with confidence. It's just something for us to speculate about. But to them, when they see their names where, it means a whole lot to them. So, it's just fun to talk about to me. But it's more than fun. It's interesting to me on how they're projecting these guys. Like, here's line 2. Braxton Jones, Larry Borum at left tackle. Braxton Jones at the starter, Larry Borum backing up. Robert Haskins at the 3rd spot. I'll let you guys go and I'll finish it up.
Hey, Robert Haskins, didn't he star in Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah.
Wasn't that dude? Because I don't know this cat otherwise. Sorry.
You're so close. You're so close. It's Bob Hoskins. I had to think about that one for a minute, but you're damn close, bro.
My bad.
Nerds, man, for knowing that shit.
I'm sorry.
Larry Borum,
classic, bro. It's a classic.
He has to show and prove, because he's been here now. This is his 3rd season, and nobody's talking about he's not fighting for any one of the starting positions. So who is he? What position is Larry Borum? Is he a swing tackle? Is he a left tackle? Is he a right tackle? We're pretty sure he's a tackle, but we haven't really seen him at left. And when there was that deficit last year at right, we still didn't see him. So, Braxton Jones, he's sounding good. He's looking good. He's doing his thing. I'm happy that he's progressing, and that one of his, well, not one of, but his major weakness last season, he's addressed, and it's starting to show those rewards.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about the left tackle position other than, full on agreement with Nomad's sentiment from last night. That swing tackle is still a bit of a question mark. I don't want to see Larry Borum on the field at all this year. I'll just be honest about that. If we have to see him again, hope to God he's taken things seriously and worked on some stuff and show some improvement. But I can't expect him to solidify the left side of that line. That's just the reality here. And if we're also, looking at the guy from Roger Rabbit, I'm not sure if that's going to pan out in any capacity. But he did save the girl. And
Jessica was a sexy tune.
She was a sexy tune, bro.
Y'all tripping.
Big time, man.
Hey, So left tackle, as expected, the starter is Braxton Jones. Braxton is going to be our starting left tackle, guys. Don't let anybody tell you differently, and don't let anyone let your optimism for him being dominant this year waver, man. As far as Larry Bourne being number 2 on this list, I look at 1, 2, 3 guys who could have supplanted him in that swing tackle competition that didn't. So that means that he's holding his own right now. So he's still in that competition for the swing tackle. And I'm not even going to talk about this other guy, Robert Haskins, man. No disrespect to him, but he's facing an uphill battle. I just don't think that he's going to make this team. However, I mean, it's the preseason, and every guy has the right to fight for their position. So we'll see what happens.
So I'll tell you what sticks out to me here, and you guys know from last night, I'm up in the air on Larry Bourne based on performance. However, he has had an offseason to get his body. I heard that probably 3 times so far. He has reworked his body and he's looking a whole lot better. What I worry about with Larry Bourne is his foot speed. I think Samuel mentioned that last night. And that's something that shows up time and time again. If you can beat him with the outside dip and take it on the inside and swim over him, he didn't have the foot speed. Maybe it was because he was a little bit heavy last year, and that's why they're working on his body to get him back down to the weight that they want him so that he can be a little shiftier and be a little lighter on his feet. Maybe that's it. But Larry Bourne is going to have to show me, more than anything else. I mean, that's the guy on the offensive line I have the most reserve about is Larry Bourne being the swing tackle. However, Robert Haskins, he did look really good, especially in the run game at USC. He looked solid in the passing game. He probably needs some anchor work or something like that because he was light at USC, probably lingering around 297, 300. But he's got really, really solid traits as far as his technique, really solid traits. So I noticed that about him. It's interesting that he's number 3 here because if Larry Bourne doesn't pan out to be the swing tackle that they're looking for, he could potentially move up the depth chart, and after a move or so, I find this line kind of interesting, but only because Larry Bourne is there and they're going to give him every opportunity to win that swing tackle spot, at least the backup left tackle spot. So I find that really interesting. I'm just going to not judge him until he starts playing in preseason, and then we'll go from there as far as Larry Bourne goes. But he's definitely going to have to show me and prove to me that he's got what it takes to play at least as a backup in this league. But this next line, Tevin Jenkins, I'll tell you the truth, on offense, other than the Velus Jones, where he's positioned on the depth chart and all the improvements that he sounds like he's made out there, how much better he's looking, this might be the most welcome line on this offensive depth chart to me. Why? It's because where Alex Leatherwood is. He's sitting comfortably at the backup left guard spot, right behind Tevin Jenkins. I think it's a solid play for them to keep him inside so that he doesn't have as much technique work to sort through and really get comfortable with. I think this is the spot for him. I think left guard, I think they found a honey spot for Alex Leatherwood. And this is probably, I say it again, probably the most pleasing sight besides Velus Jones on this offensive depth chart to me.
Yeah, looking at the left guard, they have Tevin Jenkins, Alex Leatherwood, Gabriel Hoy, and Josh Lugg. Now, it's everything that I've heard about Hoy and Lugg from Greg Gabriel, shout out, big up to the Barroom Network, much love to Aldo. But Hoy is a right guard or a right tackle, and Lugg is also like a right interior guy. And so this depth chart is like preliminary, but I don't think all these guys are in the right positions. But it is good to see Leatherwood on the left side where he dominated at left tackle at, in college, where he was like the best, offensive lineman in college. So put him back in that situation where he's comfortable with the left hand in the dirt, where, he can just do his thing and not think. And hopefully the mono's all gone and he knows the offense, he's comfortable, and let him fight for the position because, Tevin has not the best history staying on the field. So, Leatherwood is, like all these guys, one snap away possibly from being in that starting left guard position.
I like it. I think it's a super strong left guard line or list, if you will, on that depth chart. I like it quite a bit. I think Leatherwood will do great things swinging in as a left guard. I have a bit more interest now in Gabriel Hoy and Josh Lugg to really see, whether they can battle it out and remain on this team in some capacity, without jumping to the next line. I think I like that. I think Leatherwood will do wonders stepping in situations where Jenkins may have, maybe injured, may have some sort of an issue.
Sam, you muted.
Yeah, my
Gotcha,
fault,
bro.
man. Yeah, I like Big Tev, man, of course, at the left guard position. We know that he is dominant at the guard position, man, and he's probably one of the best guards in the league, man, when he's healthy and playing at full strength. As far as Alex Leatherwood goes, I'm happy to see him have some success finally, man. I've always said that I thought he was a left-handed player, and that was the issue with them, with Oakland moving him to the right side immediately, moving him to right tackle when he came into the league, and then inside to right guard, and he just never looked comfortable on that right side. And look, they put him on the left side, and he starts having some success. I'm sure he's worked on his body as well, and worked on his technique. But I definitely think he's a left-handed player. Gay boy, is going facing an uphill battle. We got him late.
Hey, Sam, can you point something out right quick?
Go ahead.
The only reason I'm noticing it now is thank you, Jason. Jason just said heard Hoy is a tone setter like Tev and Wright.
Yep.
It's interesting that the nastier guys are because people don't give Alex Leatherwood credit for nasty, but he is outright nasty. Take my word for it. If you watch enough film of him, he is nasty.
Mm-hmm.
And the nastier guys they want on the left-hand side. Why? That's the quarterback's blind spot.
Yep.
Samuel, do me a favor.
What's that?
Say Gabe Hoy 3 times.
Gay boy.
fast.
I thought it was gay boy. Gabe Hoy. It's Hoy. I thought it was Gabe Hoy. I thought the H was silent. I've heard them
But you got to say it 3 times fast.
Gay boy, gay boy, gay boy.
How do you break in with that?
You ain't.
Man, how do you break in with that? I'll make the most interesting note right here. Nobody to this note. And he comes in with this. Oh my God.
Crazy.
Great though. That was great.
Man.
Yeah, I give myself a Barry Horowitz pat on the back for that one. That was great. That was great. Sorry, man, you were saying.
No. I mean, nobody. I guarantee you, not a podcaster, not a scout, not an analyst on the planet, other than me, just noticed this. The nastier guys are at left guard. The nastiest guys we have on the team are at left guard, and there's a reason for that. Tell me again what that is, Sam.
Yeah, it's the side that's going to protect the blind side of our quarterback. So it makes the most sense, of course, to have those guys on the left-hand side of the line, and also next to a guy who doesn't have that much nasty in him, which is Braxton Jones. At least not in the passing game. In the running game, he's a nasty dude, but in the pass protection, he can be a little finesse. He's a finesse player. I'll give him that. in the passing game. So, but it's still effective. The one thing I want to point out about Leatherwood, though, being the number 2 left guard, Leatherwood can't play the right side at guard. We know that. I mean, it's proven. If you look at the tape, he's just not effective on that right side. So I expect him to make this team. However, I don't expect him to make game day rosters. I expect maybe, the other guard who we'll talk about in a second to be that swing guard, because, you usually only carry 2 extra offensive linemen into the game. And one of those guys needs to be able to play both guard positions, and the other guy needs to be able to play both tackle positions. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Sam, I'll be willing to bet the swing guards are Jatiri Carter and Lucas Patrick. I would be willing to bet those are the guys, and probably Peter on the outside looking inside behind those two. Those are the 2-3 guys that I think will be swinging if there are anybody. There's anybody swinging inside. Definitely, you're right about Alex Leatherwood. I mean, he can get you out of a pickle if there's injuries on the right-hand side. You prefer not to put him over there. But, yeah, you definitely he needs to hone his craft on the left-hand side as much as humanly possible. Get all the reps you can give him on the left-hand side. If you got to use him on the right hand, we're probably in bad shape, so we don't want to really see that. So, yeah, but those are the guys I think will be swinging on the interior. It's going to be Patrick, it's going to be Jatiri, and probably who did I miss? Patrick, Jatiri, and probably
Dieter. Yep.
So yeah. Now, let's move to center, man. I don't think there's a hell of a lot to talk about here other than this is exactly what you thought. Cody Whitehair, Lucas Patrick, and Doug Kramer. Nobody's really backing up Doug Kramer. If there's anybody that's going to push Doug Kramer and push him off this roster, it's probably going to be Dieter. And so anybody got anything to say about that? Go right ahead.
Quickly with center, it would be nice if somebody would just step up and be like, yo, the center position is mine, but we got the Cody Whitehair, Lucas Patrick thing, and they can both flex to guard. Then you've got Kramer, who was injured all last season in training camp, got injured in training camp and was out. So, what does he have? We've heard that Carter's been taking some snaps at center. Island's been battling out on the practice squad for the last 5, 6, 7 years. So center is in flux. So to be determined.
I don't know, man. I'm happy with center. Lucas Patrick being where he is, as well as his ability to swing, as sort of as you're saying, that Nomad is key. And I know really Kramer's the end all be all center backup, and I have some faith in Doug Kramer, to be honest with you. I don't see him overstepping any of these guys already on the depth chart, but I do have some faith in Doug Kramer. That being said, how many centers can you really keep on the team? In this scenario, I feel like they keep all 3 of these guys.
Yeah, the center, this depth chart only gets interesting if Lucas Patrick, for some reason, couldn't go. If he's not healthy at the beginning of the season or something like that, then, that center position becomes interesting, because you have Cody Whitehair and you have a guy in Doug Kramer who has not seen live bullets. So that's when that position becomes interesting to me right now. I have full faith in Cody Whitehair right now to, hold it down until, he shows me otherwise.
Well, I just tell you this: the center is the most solid, pretty much the most solid position on the offense. I mean, we got. It's nice that we got a second-year left tackle, nice A+ apex right tackle in Darnell Wright, but I feel more secure about the center position than I do about anything. Nate Davis and Jatiri behind him makes me feel really good too. But a vet like Cody Whitehair and a vet like Lucas Patrick, hopefully they can stay healthy, man. But if they can keep healthy, that's a solid rotation. And they're growing Doug Kramer. He's had a whole offseason in nutrition and in the weight room. So just to me, it's just about seeing what he looks like with all of that year of doing what he needed to do under his belt. It's just going to be interesting to see if he can hold up to a real heavy bull rush, because he's a kind of light guy, man. But he's really strong and he's really competitive. So was Sam Mustipher, but I don't want to compare him to Sam Mustipher. I just want to see what he looks like in the preseason and see if he has the kind of traits to hold up to NFL power. So it's going to be interesting to look at him, man. Okay, Nate Davis, and this is probably the second or third best story on the offensive depth chart, is Ja'Tyre Carter right behind him, man. He's overcome Dieter, man, and we love Dieter, man, but we want to see Ja'Tyre ascend, man, and it sounds like he's doing just that. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, it's good to have the veteran, the free agent, bring in Davis to start. Cool. But Carter, he's one of my dark horses. When he got a little time last season, he had some nasty to him, and he was good, all season long. Not good, but in developing all off season. And I think he's just waiting for his opportunity to take a spot, because he has the versatility to go both guard positions, and like I just mentioned, that he's doing some work at center. So I'm looking forward to that. And Island, who they have as the third string right guard, I mean, this dude has to crap to get off the pot this season.
That's where we are, boys. Really. So what it's looking like right now is, if we go back to left guard, we've got a solid backup left guard. Back down to center, we've got a solid backup center. We've got a solid right guard backup in Ja'Tyre Carter behind Nate Davis, and I believe that. When we start to talk about guys like again Dieter Eisland, you're right, man. We can either look at continuing to develop Dieter, or they may have to make that shit or get off the pot decision. Have we put a fair amount of time into this guy? Is there more development? What's his ceiling looking like? Can we continue on that path? And I mean, those same questions go for these guys in the third and the fourth string almost across the board. But some of them are guys that I feel like they may just want to continue on and develop. Gabriel Hoy is one of those guys. See, I'm gonna do the full name this way; it doesn't sound like the other thing. And Kellen Deesh, same case scenario. I think Kellen's pretty good, and it's really just a question as to whether they want to continue to develop Kellen and bring them up along with him. And once more, I have a little special place in my heart for Big Roy. We just call him Big Roy.
Let's stay at right guard, man. We're going down there.
All right, we'll leave right tackle alone. What do you think, Samuel?
Happy that nasty Nate Davis is out on the field practicing again.
Yes,
man.
indeed. Yes,
and he's, we went and got that man for a reason, and you're gonna figure out why I call him Nasty Nate during this season, because he's gonna show you a lot of nasty shit. This is Nomadic Live. I'm gonna keep that up to myself. But
man,
other guy, Ja'Tyre Carter, man. When I was talking about that swing guy, that's who I'm talking about, man. Ja'Tyre Carter seems like he has that versatility to be able to, easily play both of those guard positions and be successful at it. It seems like he's done a lot of work this offseason, and, it's starting to pay off. And, we're happy to see that, because he was one of Poles' guys who he specifically went and found out of the rough. And, hopefully he turns into this diamond that Poles thought he would. Dieter Eisland, that's the fan favorite, and, we know the guy can play when he gets into the games. We'll see what he does during this preseason.
Yeah, I mean, I would say this to close out the right guard spot, man. Listen, guys, do not, for whatever you do not count out Dieter. Do not count out Dieter. He's like Sam Mustipher, man. It could be a nuclear explosion, and that dude will come out of nowhere with his whole uniform on, with a football in his arms, and survive the whole damn thing, man. He is durable. He's pliable. And I mean by pliable, they can bend and shape him into what they need him to be. He's valuable. How valuable do they think he is? I don't know. I think I think he finds a way to stay on this team one way or the other. But
he might have that squirrel master. That's what it is. That squirrel master power, and he's able to contend with Nasty Nate. So yeah.
Yeah, but
you're talking from half baked. Is that where you went with that?
There you go, Canuck.
Right.
There you go.
Oh, man. hey, Chad, I'm sorry. My guys are off task today. I don't know what the hell's going on with these dudes today.
You brought up the Squirrel Master. I was a little bit worried. So I just wanted to bring up this particular chat. Is Dieter Eisen considered one of those international exemption players that don't count against your roster? I didn't really realize that was the case, because that would also likely be the situation with Big Roy too. Well, any words on that, Nomad?
I have no idea. I'm not even qualified to speak to that because I do not know. I don't know the ins and outs of that, but it'd be interesting to find out. I know Big Roy is, and that's about all I know.
He is. Yeah, I just know that Big Roy is right now.
Yeah. But down to right tackle. Here's an interesting line here. We know Darnell Wright's the starter. Aviante Collins, he came in and turfed out, it looks like, Kellen Deesh for the backup right tackle spot. So we had, earlier in camp, we were seeing Kellen Deesh getting a lot of second-team reps at right tackle, right behind Darnell Wright. And before, I think it was right before the pads came on or right after the pads came on, they made the move for Aviante Collins. So apparently they were liking what they saw in Kellen Deesh until the pads came on. Something about the pads coming on made them trigger the signing of Aviante Collins. So I found that interesting. And Big Roy was always going to be on the outside looking in. Hopefully they find a way to keep him somewhere, at least on the practice squad, so they can keep developing him, because the dude he's a monster athlete, man. I mean, you would like to see them develop a guy like that, but he could be one of those guys that really move around the league for the next couple of years until he fully gets where he needs to be as a pro. But that's just what I think about this line.
Looking at right tackle, we're pretty sure that we write in ink that Darnell Wright's the starter. That's cool. The Collins, he's a veteran. He's looking for his opportunity. If he's coming in and he's showing that he can beat out Deesh, so be it. Now, we don't know, because Big Roy, everything that I saw, every video that I saw when he was on the Giants practice squad, he was a left tackle. And earlier in camp, I could have sworn that he was, always on that left side. So, but with his physical traits, you would just love to see the dude develop. And I mean, we know how the athletic Africans are, especially when they're big like that. We could have oh my God, come on, yeah. What is he, like 6'9", 370 pounds? Come on,
something like that.
We got to have that. If he can be developed and be taught, yeah, that's something. Yeah, that's a nice piece.
It's funny. I'm just cluing into the Nasty Nate reference now that it was kind of blown up in the chat. I had to take a minute and laugh. That's well done. Well played, Triple R. Well played, brother. We'll run with that for the whole season. He's definitely Nasty Nate.
Yeah, but listen, man. Aviante Collins has come in and turfed out Kellen Deesh. Kellen Deesh, again, I'll say Paul Clark is right. It doesn't really make a difference in preseason. That guy can move back up the echelon quite simply by outplaying the guy. But I keep hearing and seeing the short arm references. That's the first thing that comes out of people's mouths in reference to Kellen Deesh. Yes, he has shorter arms for a tackle. Is it something that's hindering him right now? We don't know. Guess what? Saturday we're gonna get a chance to get an idea when they put him out preseason. He's gonna get plenty of snaps, and we're gonna get to see up close and personal whether or not his short arms are inhibiting him in any way of holding up passes. So we'll see about that, man. I wouldn't worry much about it until I see that it's something that's stopping him from doing anything. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. Did you get to go on this line, or you want to move on?
No, man, we can move on. Aviante Collins came in, man. He solidified his position. The coaches must have some faith in him, and the preseason game is going to determine what this depth chart really looks like. You know, it's just saying that Aviante Collins is the first man up. You know, he's the guy who's going to get that first opportunity. They're saying he's earned that right, you know, so far in training camp. And, you know, if he produces well in this game, then, you know, we'll see how it progresses from game to game. And or if Dieter, you know, outplays him, then maybe Dieter, you know, plays himself back into that swing tackle competition. So, you know, it's just interesting to see.
Let me say this before I get into the tight ends, man. I want to say this and be quite clear when I speak this. I believe we have one of the best running back trios in the league. I believe we have a top tier wide receiver core. I believe we have a top tier linebacker core. I believe also that we have a top tier tight end group. That's a good looking tight end group any way you want to put it. That's a good looking group of tight ends right there, especially these first three. I feel really good about this position. This offense is very, very, very tight end driven, whether it be in the run game, whether it be in the pass game, guys spilling out after blocks. I mean, this is the depth that they have at tight end and the talent that they have at tight end, and a veteran in there to really round it all together and really make it a successful core group of guys. I think we have a top tight end group in the league. I ain't saying the top, I'm saying a top group.
Yeah, there's definitely the youth and development that we got low. We got the big dog Mercedes Lewis, who's been in the league, you know, pushing 2 decades. You know, Tunyon, who's the athletic dude, both of which are very familiar with Getsy and vice versa. And then Komet, who's, you know, been ascending, you know, since we've drafted him. So, yeah, this group can block. They can be threats in the red zone. They can stretch the field. So the power of polls compels you. He's putting together a nice little roster here.
Talking tight end, I wasn't really all that worried about it. Man went out, made big signing with Cole Komet, turned around, got us some Robert Tonyan action, and you know we sat down and said he's got a good understanding of Getsy's system, has a relationship with the coordinator. They then turned around and went out and got the other guy who's got a good understanding of the system and Getsy as a coordinator in Mercedes Lewis. Now we've got a little bit of backup and development behind them. I'm impressed by what they're doing with respect to the tight end group, and it's only going to be a benefit to the overall offensive scheme and you know potential blocking requirements on the outside of that line.
We got size, speed, versatility, and depth at this position, man. This is probably one of the better rooms and on the offensive side of the ball, along with wide receiver. I think it gives Justin a lot of weapons and a lot of depth there right now. So, you know, I'm happy with where this stands. The addition of Mercedes Lewis really solidified that group.
Al Alova, he says that Bears will be disappointed if Tonyan outplays Komet, and it's possible. I know I wouldn't be, because I said it the whole time before Cole got the contract. I was feeling like they brought him in to see if they wanted to pay Cole Komet, and if this guy outperformed him, I was feeling like, you know, maybe they don't sign Cole Komet, because I mean they're two different types of tight ends. That's one thing we know. Tongus is going to probably outplay him in the receptions department. He's probably going to be the guy that gets the separation and gets the deeper passes. He's probably going to get, I mean, depending on how many snaps he gets, he can probably match or do better than Cole Komet's numbers just because of the, you know, separation. He's going to get longer passes, man. So I can honestly see Robert Tonyan getting a chance to outplay Cole Komet in the receptions department. But let's move on, man, because we're spending a lot of time on this. I don't even think we need to talk about the next line. That's exactly what you would expect it to be. Tyler Scott behind EQ. You would want to see Tyler Scott move on EQ on this line, but, you know, we can talk about that later. We don't need to talk about Justin. We don't need to talk about the running back spot. That is interesting. And so we'll spend just a minute talking about that. Roschon Johnson on an earlier depth chart that was put out on Twitter was number 5. And the whole Twitterverse they lost their crap. Just to be quite honest with you, man. People were upset about that. And I guess they put a revised version of it. Now he's number 3 on the chart. Treston Ebner behind him. I don't know how long that's going to last, because what I saw on film looked better to me overall. But again, I haven't seen everybody's film and a whole bunch of it. So we're going to find out real soon, Saturday, who looks like the better back thus far in camp.
Yeah, and definitely. And you know, health and injuries always play a part. So you're going to need as much depth for as long as possible at that position. Khalil Herbert, you know, he's getting pushed. Foreman's the brought in guy, free agent who wants to prove himself, who's been a beast, you know, in his history. Sean Johnson, the 4th round pick. So he's not going to get put on the practice squad. Travis Homer wasn't brought in for his running back acumen. So being last on this chart isn't surprising, but I don't think he's in fear of losing a roster position. You know, Ebner would be the odd man to possibly to the practice squad if we can get him there in this scenario, you know, if Herbert doesn't.
I highly doubt that. I think they're going to want to spend time developing him. If Travis Homer makes this roster based on what this looks like, it's a special teamer.
Well, but it's still going to be counted in the running back room on it.
Yeah, of course. But he won't. He probably, yeah. But
then that means that they would keep 5 running backs if they keep Ebner.
It's a running back. It's a running back. It's going to be a running team. You're going to need several backs. So it wouldn't be surprising if they kept 4 or 5 running backs at all to me. More likely 4, but yeah, 5 wouldn't surprise me either.
Right on.
You know what? The reality is, that just means somebody else is on their way out. I don't know. I don't see them keeping that many bodies at the running back position, and then you also have to incorporate fullback there too. I highly doubt that they'll keep 2 fullbacks. One is a rookie, and the other is Blasingame. I feel like they're going to strangely keep both of those guys, with the exception of the possibility of one of these starting running backs just showing full-on fullback chops. I kind of doubt that for everybody, with the slight exception of maybe Roschon Johnson, maybe. Either Treston Ebner or Homer should likely be on the chopping block. But I'm going to move away from the negative side of this and move to the positive side and just say Roschon's making a little bit of noise out there. People seem to be happy with what he's been doing when he's getting the ability to test things out and run the ball. Put the ball on the ground early into training camp, and we haven't heard much of that since. Once more, his blocking ability is jumping out to people who are paying attention, and I'm just hoping I'm hoping that he can usurp his way past the guys in front of him. Likely not at the beginning of the season, but let's say a quarter of the way through, I'd be pleased with that.
Samo, before you go, I just want to say this, and I said this several times, man. Rookies, man. I think Ebner had such a rough rookie season for probably all kinds of different reasons. Number one, because he's a rookie. Number 2 is because it's a lot to learn. And 3, he wasn't playing fast whatsoever. He looked a step slow all season long. And I don't think the fan base ever really forgave him for that. And they're just like, okay, let's be done with him. Get him out. We know what he is and what he isn't. I don't think so. I do not think so. That's one reason why people tune in to the Nomad Network, because I will stop and itemize little details like that. We will do things like that to point out reasons why you shouldn't be so glass half empty with a player like Treston Ebner. You have to understand what the process is for a rookie coming into a new offense, and I believe 110% he's going to play a blip faster than you saw him play before. It's just a learning curve. And it's reflective on the field when you're not thinking, you're going to play a whole lot damn faster. And I think before people start, brushing this dude off to the curb, let's see what he's got in the bag when he's not thinking. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, at the running back position, I think Khalil Herbert hasn't done anything to lose his job in training camp, which is good to hear. Dante Foreman has held his own as well, and I think he's right on Khalil's heels right now. Roshan Johnson, being a rookie that the Bears were really happy about, has come in and he stood out, and they're going to give him that third man up position. So, which is good to hear. We'll see what happens during the preseason with that. As far as Treston Ebner goes, like you said, man, the man was thinking on the field a lot last year. He just couldn't play fast. Just seems like the learning the offense was complicated for him, and just making a decision on the run. He just wasn't playing at full speed last year, which was obvious. Hopefully, he's over that. He feels good, and he makes this team. Travis Homer is a guy who Poles, raved about when he signed him. So it's interesting to see him so low on the depth chart. Wondering what that means. Like, this is a crowded room, but I like all of these guys, to be honest with you. I think the preseason will sort this out, man.
All right, so let's.
Sorry, before we jump off RB, I just want to poll you guys and the chat. What do you think the odds are on them upgrading at the running back position before kickoff this season?
Somebody would have to blow a tire.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. So injury case scenario?
More than likely, unless there's a deal that they can't pass up for an apex running back like
Jonathan Taylor
or my man out in Vegas. Other than
Josh Jacobs.
Yeah. I mean, no, I don't think. I think there's a possibility. It's slim to none, but circumstances may make them have to do something. But we hopefully they won't have to do that. But no, I don't think anything's happening there. But we gotta take this comment off the screen so we can see what's going on. Yeah, we don't need to talk about the fullback and Chase Claypool. Tyler Scott's nicely positioned behind him. That's probably what you would expect, and I'm good with that. I don't think it's much to talk about that. However, let's put the defense up here, Sam. I've been waiting on this. One. Let's just get right to it. It appears to me, and everybody can see with their own eyes, the first line looks really interesting, but let's get to the other defensive end behind Yannick Ngakoue and Rasheem Green and Terrell Lewis appeared to have turfed out Trevis Gipson. What the hell is going on here, man? What happened?
Hey, man, Trevis Gipson had that flash in the pan season where he had the 7 sacks, prior, no, and then post, no. He's not a product of this regime or pick of this regime. Isn't he due for a contract this year as well? Or next year is coming up. So yeah, he's being outplayed and being made superfluous like a third nipple.
Kids.
Yeah, Triple R is doing it today, y'all. He's doing some big things. He's got some serious analogies and references. If y'all ain't paying attention, I'm paying attention. In any event, I just don't feel like we have the luxury of cutting a guy like Trevis Gipson, even if he's not performing. I think having depth from a rotational perspective is a good thing.
So earlier this offseason, when the team broke for break for that last month after OTAs, I was watching Twitter very closely. I was watching Instagram very closely. I saw guys like Javon Dexter, DeMarcus Walker, Dominique Robinson working their butts off, and I saw video of Trevis Gipson out shopping, out partying and eating. I saw him getting a full leg tattoo. And I was just thinking, like, oh, I hope he's ready for the season. When the season comes, I hope he's putting in work and he's just not showing that. And, maybe he wasn't putting in that work, man, like he should have been. Like, he should have been focusing on, getting better. This being a contract year, that's just my personal feelings. But hey, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. All I know is this depth chart to me is very telling that he's so far behind everyone else, even guys who are here for the first year, even a rookie in or undrafted free agent in DeAnthony Jones, which is that's it's troubling to hear. It's sad to hear. Hopefully he can pick it up, man. That's what this means to me. It's like they're trying to light a fire under his ASS to get him going. And hey, I'm not going to say that he cannot be cut, because if someone is playing better and they show that they deserve to be on this team, then they will be that depth rotation piece, and let Trevis go.
Well, I'll just say this to that. Trevis Gipson is valuable. How valuable he is in a 4-3 down front in this defense versus a 3-4 stand up, versatile down and standing up player. I think he, in the long run, Trevis Gipson can prove us all wrong and just go out here in preseason and just light it up because of where he's positioned. Like I told you guys in the beginning of the show, everybody's watching and looking at that. Everybody's looking at the depth chart and where they landed on the depth chart. Nobody wants to be on the end of it. That's going to piss him off. That's going to piss him off. Will it reflect the way he plays on the field? I don't know. I'm looking forward to finding out. But the fact that he's all the way down there on the depth chart means that either he's going to make a huge turn in preseason and really make himself valuable, or I think he is valuable in the trade. I do think he's valuable in a trade to a team that's needy for a 3-4 edge rusher or a linebacker, drop back linebacker. He is valuable in that department. So cut, I think, is less likely than a trade. I would just say that. And anybody else got any final thoughts on that? I just want to put that out there. Nobody? Also,
No.
No, I mean, you pretty much covered it.
Terrell Lewis is just it's not surprising to me that he's shining in this camp and is making a name for himself on the roster. I'll tell you exactly what Braggs said. Braggs is swearing, and he's out there watching the guy, so I have to give him a little leverage there. Braggs is promising Terrell Lewis is going to make this team based on what he's looking at on the field. So he must be looking highly impressive out there. I keep hearing his name day in and day out. Dominique Robinson, keep hearing his name in the last few days. He's probably playing with some added pressure to him now that we brought in Unique. And he's sitting at number 2 behind DeMarcus Walker. Anthony Jones sitting up there right behind Dominique Robinson is a welcome sight. What do you guys think about that?
Just looking at this defensive end, Walker, Robinson, Jones, Jalen Harris, the UDFA, Gipson, who we don't know, Lewis, the 5-star recruit, who, is getting his opportunity, Green, and then, the hired assassin Ngakoue. This is a very respectable, decent group with a veterans, flexibility, developing players, and young guys. So, how it shakes out is to be determined. But as far as the future goes for defensive end and then what we do going forward, we're looking like we can get some pressure going with these guys.
So I'm just going to read this from Bare Truth 9 because it made a little bit of sense to me. So, he's at the end for a reason, because at this point, you can't hide him on the practice squad, and this doesn't elevate his trade worth. So it's just sending a message that someone may take his spot. And that speaks to really what Nomad was saying in the beginning of all this, right? It means a lot to these guys to see this depth chart and get an understanding of where they are and what their value is on the team at present to their coaches, so that effectively they can make effective change if they have the ability to do so. Very important to them. Super cool for us to pontificate about it and go over, but much more important for them to get an understanding of where they stand on this team.
Here's another important note to pay attention to. I think people ought not poo-poo the fact that that Rasheem Green is right there. He's going to get a lot of snaps. at when Unique is not in there, he'll be in there holding down that edge. I think that's something to pay attention to. Rasheem Green must be looking really good in practice. However, let's switch over to the D tackles. This is probably a twist for a lot of people. Why? It's because of Jack Pickens' size and Gervon Dexter's size. I think a lot of people, and I said this when I was at the barroom, I said it since we started this show, you want to look at Gervon Dexter and Zach Pickens in terms of how Flus used DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart. Zach Pickens has the Grover Stewart body. Would you not agree? And Gervon Dexter has more of the DeForest Buckner body, which explains why Gervon Dexter is backing up Justin Jones at 3 tech, and Billings is being backed up by Zach Pickens at the 1. So if you guys want to get into that, I think that's the reasoning behind it.
Well, the book on Flus and company were that they were teachers, and where they came from, Indianapolis, the aforementioned players, the Buckners that you mentioned, they said, hey, when we start this journey with the Chicago Bears and the Ryan Poles, as they've been in lockstep, the synchronicity has been beautiful since Poles hired him. He said, I want to develop my new Buckner. I want to develop my new Mathis, who Robinson has been working with off season. So if we can, bring these guys through the draft and make them our new stars, this is a good position backing up a veteran like Billings and a veteran like Jones, a veteran like Ngakoue, with tackles. But behind the veterans, you got the youth coming up that are learning. And then, like you mentioned, Travis Bell, it's like, this 7th round pick. And it's like he's making all these moves, turning all these heads. It's like he's saying, I don't want to be on the practice squad. I want to be on this roster. And then Roy, the D tackle we just picked up off of wires, he's there battling. And then the young guy Brown, probably practice squad destination. So the competition is real.
Kids.
Sorry, man. My headphone just bleeped out there, and I missed the end of what Triple I was saying. But if we're just talking about the defensive tackles, I kind of like where they are. I like what I've been hearing from Flus as of late. Earlier on, I was worried about Zach Pickens just because I hadn't heard a lot about him. I was hoping to hear some good noise, and that started this week, and it's starting to get louder. As is the noise with Gervon Dexter. Now, there was a little bit of worry about that get off, but he seems to be improving quickly. And Flus has been talking about both of these rookies to have them just behind, Billings and Jones. It's kind of where you want them to be, because that means that they're positioned to potentially overtake these guys. I don't really see them doing that anytime soon. I'll be honest. I think they're still in development mode, but that's kind of where I want them to be.
I think it makes for a strong rotation. I think the expectation was for Justin Jones and Andrew Billings to be the starters, them being the veterans of the bunch. And, I think that, as far as the nose tackle and the 3 tech position, I think Gervon Dexter and Zach Pickens are both versatile and able to play both positions. And I think that's the best thing about, having these 2 young guys. I think they both have the strength to anchor at the nose, and they have the quickness to get in the backfield at the 3 tech. The interesting thing to me is that Travis Bell is also listed as the 3rd 3 tech. I saw some film of him in training camp where he was hitting the sled. That guy looks quick and powerful, and he looks like he has strong, quick hands. So that's very interesting to me.
What I like about that, Samo, is the guys, the rotation of 3 techs are different types of 3 techs. You have a really, really fast 3 tech in Justin Jones. You have a really, really big, fast, and strong 3 tech in Gervon Dexter. And then you have a really unique 3-tech. I mean, just a short, stout. It's like a muscled up fire hydrant and Trevis Bell, man. And I think the body types and the styles that the guys that can, I mean, that variety of body types and styles of rushers at 3-tech, I think is pretty damn unique, man. I like the big, the fast, and the strong mixture at 3-tech. I think is really, really interesting how they have these guys, where they have these guys lined up. I think it's perfect because here's another thing about the D tackle position for a Flus run defense. It doesn't really matter who's in at 3-tech and who's in at 1, because over in Indy, both Buckner and Grover Stewart played the 1 and the 3-tech. So it's not like both of them were just every time they went lined up, one was a 3, one was a 1. No, they went all up and down the line, man. So the versatility, position versatility that they have here, Pickens being one of those guys, Trevis Bell being another one of those guys, Bravion Roy being another. All these guys, man, only person that you wouldn't really want to play at a 1 unless you just had to would be Justin Jones. The rest of those guys can absolutely play 1. And so you just love the versatility here. And I can't say enough about it, man. If anybody wants to say anything else about these interior tackles, man, go ahead. But I love it.
It's just good depth, man. I like the depth. I expect that first 6 to make the squad because I like Bravion Roy a lot. He's also another guy we just haven't talked about, but because he just made the team. But that guy is athletic, big, strong, and powerful and explosive. There's a lot to like about him too. So I hope that he makes this team. I hope that first 6 of defensive tackles all make this team. And, who knows who gets played on game days. You play your matchups on game days and rotate them that way and see who's having the best weeks of practice. But I love the versatility that we have at 3-tech. And then you throw in these other guys who can play 3-tech too, like DeMarcus Walker. You got Rasheem Green has played some 3-tech. So this defensive line is extremely versatile.
Let me speak to Paul Clark here. He just posed a question. Yeah, he said, Paul Clark says, yeah, but an early depth chart gives these players false hope that they can make the team, ? No, I don't think so at all. It just, to me, that depth chart speaks directly to what the coaches think of them and their projection. This is what they expect out of them. This is what we think you can be. This is where we think you slate up amongst the rest of the guys here. Will you stay there? We don't know. You'll make a difference in that when you put yourself on the field in the game in the preseason.
It's either a demotivator or a motivator in this scenario, right? Either you look at this depth chart and you're getting your feelings and you don't, you know what I mean? You don't fight to make it any further, or you do the exact opposite. You don't get in your feelings and you continue your battle to win the position that you're trying to win. So I can see either side of it. It's really, again, just a note, a marker. Here's where you are right now in your development with respect to where the coaches see you. What are you going to do to improve and or win that job or win that starting opportunity? And we'll see what it looks like. I also will say that we'll see another one of these depth charts before the next preseason game, and it may look completely different.
Here's what I would say, and we're going to move off of that. This linebacker core is, I'll say it again, I'll keep saying it is effing impressive. I mean, it is really impressive, the bodies that they got in. I've studied every dude on here. Coney Ding. It's interesting that they have him playing at Sam linebacker. They have him listed as Sam. What's more interesting is they have Noah Sewell backing up Tremaine. That is really, really interesting to me because everybody just assumed that he was going to back up Jack Sanborn. The fact that he's backing up Tremaine Edmonds on their projected depth chart is saying a whole lot. And I've said it, and I'll say it again. The dude has been turning MF and heads out there. And they love this guy. Apparently, he's going to get a lot of snaps in the preseason, and we're going to get to see for ourselves if they're right about the way they're projecting him. But to see him backing up a middle linebacker, that they're showing a lot of faith in this guy that he gets it. And TJ Edwards said it at the presser today. This guy, is not confused by any of this, and he's playing fast, and he's out there making plays. And so he's excited about him, man. When you have other linebackers excited about a rookie like that, man, it bodes well.
Just looking at the linebacker room as a whole, Gates, he had all last year to develop. Now is his time to shine, see what he got. Baskerville, I think, is the new, develop for next year, see kind of guy. Edwards, leadership stud. Edmonds, leadership stud. Sewell, up and comer, versatile stud. Hey, buddy, we don't know, but we hope it is. Sanborn, we know what he is. He's versatile. He's smart. He's athletic. Cole, special teams beast. What can he do on the defense? Don't know. And Kanoy Dang, another one of them Africans. And I think this one is Lual's cousin or something like that, I heard.
Go ahead, kids.
Oh, sorry. Who's Luau?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's a Chicago sports reference. He was a Chicago basketball player for the Chicago Bulls.
Okay. All right. You lost me with that one.
Yeah, my bad.
No worries. I've been catching up with your reference. You even threw in a little Pauly Shore in there too for the chat for the fans. The reality here, guys, like I said yesterday, I love this group. This is going to be my favorite group outside of the secondary this year. I think they're going to shock you guys and show you guys some really cool stuff. It's starting to look deep now, which is fantastic. I'm not going to get into the weeds on this one. I think we've got a really solid linebacker core, and I think they're going to show out.
Before you go, Sam, let me answer Bear Truth 9. Bear Truth 9 said the last thing on Gipson. Not sure if you spoke on this, but maybe it's more of an indicator on how well Lewis is doing. I definitely think that's the case. Without question, it's how much better he's doing versus, I think that's absolutely on point, Bear Truth 9. But yeah, we did cover that. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, no problem. It's also says that DeAnthony Jones is also doing better than Trevis Gipson. So, it's not just Lewis. All of these guys, everyone who's ahead of him, Robinson, Green, are all doing better than Trevis Gipson. I think they're trying to light that fire under his ASS to get him going with this depth chart. As far as the linebackers go, man, we know what we got in those starters. We got that length, speed, size, and just the wit to just be dominant at that position. And sitting behind them, we got some young developmental guys who are just hungry dogs who can also have speed and size. I think this bodes well for our special teams unit, our special teams coverage units. I expect these guys to contribute there. And I'm just looking forward to the preseason to see how these guys, develop and see who, moves up and down this depth chart.
Hey, you know what? We're going to get to these last couple of spots here, man. Listen, this doesn't surprise me. Jalen Jones is behind Greg Stroman Jr. Why? It's because Greg Stroman Jr. has been out there making damn plays, and he's pretty much turfing Jalen Jones out. He looked better on film based on everything I've seen in preseason so far. In camp so far, he looks a lot better. A lot twitchier than Jalen Jones right now. Stroman is really making plays, and he is making strides out there. And I think that should be spoken to, man. I know he's a guy we just picked up off of, but he looked good last year, and I was surprised that he got cut. So, that's an interesting note to take right there. Greg Stroman Jr. is really performing in this camp, man. I don't know if it's because it's his second time going through the camp in this defense, why he's playing so much faster, why he's been playing so much twitchier, and why he's making so many more plays on the ball. But he is definitely raising some eyebrows in the camp. When they really like Jalen Jones. Am I not right? They played him a lot last year.
Yeah, and this, the preseason is going to determine a lot, and I believe that's why we haven't seen a contract extension for Jalen Johnson yet, because you look at this youth coming up with the Tyreek Stevenson, Terrell Smith, who've both been making plays this season, preseason, Stroman and Blackwell, who, you just spoke about, and Blackwell was showing all kinds of flashes at the end of last season. Then Jalen Jones and Ojemudia, who we still haven't spoke about, but he had all kind of possibilities coming in. We don't know what he's done yet. And then the young guy Macon Clark, but then all the way down there at the lonely wee bottom is Kendall Vildor, and he's the incumbent. He should be fighting for that starting position. And, he's at the point where, he's got the crap or get off the pot. So, I like the depth. The power of polls compels you, because this is another room that we got some young, hungry, talented, football players battling it out.
Before you go, Sam, I want to say this, man. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and your notification bell. We're doing extra on the Nomad Network. We're doing a little bit longer on the show just to make sure we have you guys covered. You don't need to go nowhere else. We got you right here. Just make sure you hit the like and share and subscribe, man. And let us know you appreciate us, because it goes a long way in what we're trying to do moving forward. So do not forget that, man. Well, go ahead, Sam.
Go ahead, kids, and go.
My bad.
Well, I don't remember where the hell we were. Where were we?
Oh, God.
Cornerback.
Perfect, because that's where I want to be. End of the day, those guys are looking sweet. I have very little to say about it. Right. Very little to say about it. I think Kendall Vildor needs to be where he is. The guys that they drafted were really drafted to better that position and him in it. He shouldn't be anywhere but towards the end. Josh Blackwell's been performing very well in camp. Super hype about Josh Blackwell. I was hype about Josh last year. I'm still hype about Josh this year. The rest of those guys are where they should be, right? I don't know what else to say. I like where we are with that group too, outside of the linebacker group. I think there's going to be a lot of turnovers this season. That's it for me.
So the cornerbacks, man, just look good, man. This room, man, the power of polls is freaking amazing, dog. I have to say that, dude. This defense looks completely turned around from last year, man. Just all the depth that we have now. We had a show earlier this year where we had, who was that? Herb Howard and Ken Davis. They were complaining about the depth at certain positions. They're saying like, "Oh yeah, we look good as starters, but what depth do we have?" And not being so as optimistic about the team or the depth that we have. And by all accounts, I see a lot of depth, and especially at cornerback position, dog. I think the rookies are solid, man. They're out there taking their lumps, but they are bouncing right back, which is what you want to see. You forget about that play and you move on to the next play. We just saw the play with Tyreek Stevenson getting burned on that whip route by DJ Moore, and I mean, a lot of people gonna take their L's with DJ Moore on that whip route. So the young buck turned right around and got a pick later on in camp. So, that's what you want to see from a young guy, that he can move on from the bad play. As far as Greg Stroman goes, man, I've been hearing his name not every day, but every other day. The man is making a play out there, and that's good to see. That means that he came to fight for a position, and he's out there battling it out with a strong receiver core, because our backup receivers are good too. And, he's going up against a lot of the starters too, because he's a backup. So, shout out to Greg Stroman Jr. Keep doing what you're doing, big dog. We know Josh Blackwell can play some ball. We saw him last year, man, in that nickel position, man, hold his own. The guy can cover. He can come up and hit, and, he can make plays on the ball, which I can't say for all of our corners in our cornerback room. Jalen Jones, come on, dog. Where you at, man? You were one of my guys from last year who I really liked. You came in, you played well towards the end of the season when we needed you. Oh, come on, dog. Come on. Fight your way back up this depth chart, however you can. Kendall Vildor, dog. Man, I mean, it is what it is with Kendall Vildor, man. I thought he got outplayed by both Jalen Johnson and Josh Blackwell last year, and he doesn't want it with these rookies. These rookies come to play, and Greg Stroman is outplaying him right now in the preseason. So, hey, It is what it is, man. Kendall, fight for a job, man. If not on this team, on another team. But the depth at cornerback is strong, guys, and I'm happy to see it. And just excited to see these guys in the preseason. I know I keep saying that about every group, but I am. This is the reason why I'm going to watch the entire game from start to finish, because I want to see what each one of these guys do.
And watch the replays.
Exactly.
But before you go, Matt, there was a comment in the chat from JoJo, who was disappointed that the bottom part of this roster is full of, Ryan Poles picks or late round picks, as opposed to better. Wait, here, let me read the comment. Every drafted player by Poles is on this depth chart. I kind of don't like that. There has to be some better players out there on the street than a 7th round pick. Just logically, that doesn't make sense, because if they were drafted, technically that kind of means that they were better than a street free agent. But also Poles and Cunningham and the staff are professional scouts. They have a type that they're looking for physically, a type that they're looking for mentally, and they're going to go straight to the vine and pluck that in the draft, as opposed to taking what fell off of the tree or fell off of the vine that's walking around on the street. Now, yes, you can find some of those gems when you pick around of the ground litter, but it's easier when you have the study capacity and then you pick them. So I don't really agree with that comment there, JoJo.
What I would say to that, and we got to get moving, man. JoJo, what I would say to that, and this is just me traditionally, because I know it doesn't matter where a guy is drafted. I'll give you the perfect example. TJ Edwards wasn't drafted at all. And he's in my eyes, and I know he was ranked as one of the top 5, 7 to 10 linebackers in the league, probably top 5 in his play. And so TJ developed himself into that type of player. It was always there in him. He just got into a system and a coaching staff that helped bring it out of him and made him what he became. I don't pay attention to anybody's draft status, whether it's a 1st or a 7th round. It doesn't matter to me. I pretty much turn that off. It's about how you can develop a guy. You can have guys on the team drafting in the 7th round, and in the 1st round, it ain't worth crap. And the guy at the 7th round pick is the one that turns out to be the player at the same position. So it really doesn't matter. Are there guys on the street or on people's, it's going to be guys out there. Yes, that they will do some moves towards the end of training camp, and they will change a few players over here and there. But I definitely, and I'm not trying to chastise you for putting up the guy's 7th round status. I'm saying, for me, I've never paid attention to somebody's draft status as to what he's worth to a team. I think it definitely doesn't matter. I think a person's development means everything, a lot more than his draft status. So I would just say that to that. But the last thing I would want to say on this roster, and I want to pay particular attention to Kendall Vildor. I've always thought that Kendall Vildor, you could probably get more out of him at nickel than a boundary corner, just because of his length and his body type and his traits, right?
He can tackle too, man, just to double down on what you're saying.
So he's the perfect description of a nickel. It'd be interesting. I think you guys might want to circle this comment. It'd be interesting if they give him a lot more snaps at nickel to see if he can really make some plays at nickel and then kind of keep him away from boundary corner. I think he's probably been beaten out of that job and out of the second string role at boundary corner. I want to see what he has consistently at the nickel. I think don't be surprised if he's playing a lot of snaps at nickel.
His foot speed is a little slow. His foot speed is a little slow for me to see him in that nickel position. But he has everything else. But it's the foot speed at that position that would scare me.
So yeah, only other thing I would say to this, and this is the last part of the show, man. Kendall Williamson, we gotta take that comment down. He's at the very end of can you take that comment down? That comment too. He's at the very end. I would have thought, and they haven't gone out there and played a game yet, a preseason game yet. But I need Kendall Williamson to bump AJ Thomas back. I need him to get right behind Jaquan Brisker. Also, it's warming to see that Elijah Hicks hasn't lost ground. He's right there behind Eddie Jackson. He's firmed up his position. Hopefully, he can keep that going throughout preseason. But I want to see Kendall Williams, and I think it's going to get different for him once the bullet starts flying, because that's when he usually shines the best. So, Kendall Williamson, I've been talking SHIT about you in a good way all off season. You better show up for preseason, man. I got a lot riding.
Hey, speaking of draft position, Kendall Williamson, 7th round pick, wasn't he?
That's it.
Out of Stanford, smart man, and heard he's been balling out there. Elijah Hicks sounds like he's putting it all together because, he's bringing that energy. He's like that, and he's hype, and that's what he's, learning how to tamper down and figure out where the hell he's supposed to be on the field, and that sounds like a good thing. While we're here at this position grouping, Eddie Bojack Jackson, congratulations as he just had a baby.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? All right. So with that said, Trahan has been a ball hawk as he was in college, but unless he can, make some jumps or their injuries, maybe practice squad guy. Take down the comment real quick. Colbert, AJ Thomas, those guys can, they could be the bubble guys, because we've already determined that if Williamson can play, he's going to bump AJ Thomas. If Trahan can play, he's going to bump Colbert, because Poles wants to develop his players. And if there are any leftovers or any holdovers from previous, when he's looking at the board, he's going to go, yeah, I'm going to keep my guys. And so there you go.
All right. I think hold on, kids. I think we gotta definitely get up out of here, because I'm just now seeing it's about that time. Listen, I hope guys in the chat, y'all let us know if we covered everything thorough for you. Put a Y up. If we didn't, put an N up. Be honest with us. We want to know that anyway. We need correspondence from you guys.
Feedback, baby. We need to interaction with the Nomaniacs out there. Did we fulfill what Nomad Live is the reason that you've been tuning in 11 straight days for training camp updates for? Did we bring the noise?
We got to get out of here, Trip. We got to get out of here, man. We got to wrap this show up because people got things to do. But I hope we deliver for you guys, man. Again, for the millionth time, and you're gonna get tired of me saying it. It's got a lot of love for you people that really support us, man, and I mean it. And I never get tired of saying it to you guys. You might get tired of me saying it, but I don't. Just want to say that to you guys one more time. Y'all want to wrap this up? Got any last words?
I sure as hell do. That depth chart looks deep, bro. It looks deep. I'm glad we were able to sort of go through it and give you guys a little bit of an idea as to what things look like and why. Like I say, in a week or so, things will probably look a fair amount different, and we'll have a whole other bunch of stuff to talk about as to why. That being said, love y'all, chat. Love the homies. Bear down.
Be really quick, Trip.
Hey, the power of polls is compelling you, because we look at some of these rooms and there's much more competition than we've been used to. And the North is for the taking, and let's go get that.
Let's ride. That's all I gotta say, man. Let's bear down.
Hey, Russell.
Those about to watch the entire game, fellas. You guys know about these players because we talk about these players. So that should give you enough incentive to watch the entire game so you can come back and tell us what you saw. Shout out to everybody in the chat for rocking with us on day 11 of training camp. We appreciate you all. Much love to you.
Hey, with that being said, man, love you guys one more time, man. Got to ride out, though. So with that, love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
Bear down, baby.
Bear down.